is to do advance in methodology and basically in observational methodology. And this presentation in this panel of discussion is just in this sense, from qualitative methodology to mixed methods in systematic observation of physical activity and sport, an approach to quantitizing. My first part is the theoretical exposition of the theme, and later my colleagues will present the other parts as is in the program that we send you for this panel of discussion. What is our first idea? Qualitative methodology has a long history, perhaps a century, and normally is very radical in this history. But our proposal is to go from one of different ways, different arrows that you can see here, in the direction to mixed methods. The way that we select is systematic observation. Mixed methods are recent, 2 decades, 20 years, more or less. And just systematic observation, just in last years, has had a very important role in this bridge between qualitative methodology and mixed method. Specifically, in our panel discussion of today, we are interested about the great possibilities where physical activity and sport have in this scheme. About mixed methods, there are a lot of studies that has been published during last years. A lot of studies. In my idea, in this moment, there are new advances to do in mixed methods, because there are some crises of an adolescence in mixed methods. Just in observational methodology, it has not been usual that the different authors has published inside this framework of mixed methods. Just in 4 or 5 last years, there are a very beginning about this. Concerning systematic observation has been incorporated progressively in different areas of research. And specifically for us, it's very interesting, physical activity and sport, but there are a lot, I don't know, but some researchers that usually have considered.
Teresa, excuse me, we cannot see the slide.
You don't see the slide?
I can see the first slide, but not the others. Maybe there are something that is not working.
You don't see the slide number 5 now?
Now I can see.
We see it, Professora, but it's not in presentation mode. You need to put it in full screen.
Yeah.
In the lower, yes, that's it.
Exactly. Oh, yes. Better.
I'm sorry. I was commenting you that systematic observation has been incorporated in different areas of research, several areas, but for us is especially interesting the areas of physical activity and sport. But a lot of studies, just in last years, has published in very important journals from psychology, from sport science, from methodology, interdisciplinary journals, and for this reason is a methodology that has gained quality in the different parts of the process. Just Beckman and Goldman, but especially Beckman, is for us the academic father because in 1986 began a very long way that has generated a lot of published works, and it's very important his definition of observation. You can see here, he defined systematic observation as a particular approach to quantifying behavior. The quantifying behavior for us is the core, the nucleus. Just the subtitle of this panel of discussion is an approach to quantitizing. And for Beckman, very, very important, very prestigious professor, systematic observation is a particular approach to quantifying behavior. For this reason, we can differentiate different phases, different steps in the history of systematic observation. Before 1986, before Beckman, there were only descriptive studies. From 1986, it has been a development of observation as a scientific methodology. And the rigor and flexibility are the two faces of a coin, because they are absolutely joined. And now, from 2000 until today, it has been a very important advancement in several fronts, especially conceptual, technological, and methodological advance. From conceptual advance, a very important question to take account is the interest to discover the structure of the behavior, the interest to discover patterns of behavior and hidden structures in different processes that for us is in physical activity and sport. Here, you can read the sentence from Professor Magnus from Iceland University, Reykjavik, that is published a lot about this. This is a very important and conceptual advance, but also inside systematic observation is very important, the conceptual advance, the differentiate direct observation and indirect observation. Direct observation implies high level of perceptivity. Is perceptual, is visual perception. We can observe behaviors and we can see these behaviors, and we can record through different devices. In indirect observation, that is more recent, the introduction in observational methodology implies the analyze textual material, and this textual material can be different origin. For example, transcription of talkings or from narrative information and so on. But there are very different kinds. You can see in these little pictures the clear difference between direct and indirect observation. But also both can integrate, and you can see in 1 or 2 minutes. There are conceptual advance, but there are also technological advance. And in this technological advance, for us, very important, very relevant is the software. There are also some instruments, but in this moment, we focus only the software advance. And we distinguish 3 kinds of software: to record image, sounds, text, etc., to control the quality of data, but categorical data always, and to analyze categorical data. Because it's very different. It's possible that we have some recorded image or sounds, but we need another software to control quality of data or to analyze categorical data. It's very important to have the possibility also to go from one to other of the softwares. And in 90% of these softwares is possible to establish these ways that connect them. And the third kind of advance, very important for us, is methodological advance. Here, I have selected 3 sentences, but I only will focus in the third, That is a sentence from Creswell and Plano Clark. Creswell is the father of mixed method, the first person who give this name. And they established 3 ways in order to integrate the qualitative and quantitative elements: merge, connect, and embed, that graphically you can see here. But for us, the important is the second, is connect. Because in the connect, we begin with qualitative data and we introduce some different methodological actions in order to transform this qualitative data, placing other qualitative data, but that is possible to analyze quantitatively. Is this quantitizing that I will also explain just in the next pictures. It's very important, this question, because it's not the transformation from qualitative data to quantitative data. Qualitative data that we systematize, and this systematization is qualitative, but it's possible to analyze from quantitative kinds of analysis. Inside this methodological advance, it's very important that we take care that the important profile of this observational methodology, spontaneous behavior, naturalist context, and nominal categorical data. And also the steps or phases that the process is possible to do. But I prefer graphically to show you in this scheme. In this scheme, we can see the 3 macro steps of process: qual, quan, qual. And just between qual and quan is the quantitizing. In direct observation, we can see qualitative, quantitative, and qualitative. In indirect observation, also qualitative, quantitative, qualitative. And if we join both direct and indirect observation, just the core where we should to take care some different questions is in the kind of instrument and in the kind of record. But what is quantitizing? There are the last slides. From our perspective, very important is the proposal of Beckman, Professor Beckman, that I show you his picture, because Beckman proposed the 3 primary parameters of record: frequency, order, and duration. There are successive steps on a stair, and it's very important that as minimum we arrive to second step, we arrive to order, that is the second primary parameter. This decision, you can see an example just now, is possible that we have code matrices. These code matrices are qualitatives, but we can analyze quantitatively. Here we can see just at the left the dimension of an instrument, but in the right we have a descriptive record that is transformed in another record, systematized record, that is formed by a matrix of codes. These codes are qualitative because each code implies a behavior, in some case in a category. But it's possible that with this structure of code matrix, we can analyze quantitatively. There are the scheme of the 3 steps of this stair, and this second is just the order. In the order, we have this matrix code where the columns are the dimensions. Because here in this example, we have 2 dimensions. You can see dimension A and B in function of the ad hoc instruments that we have built before. And just the rows implies the co-occurrence of behavior. This is an example where also in indirect observation, we can build this matrix of codes, is just parallel in direct observation and an indirect observation. And here I finish practically insisting because the decision of this quantitizing is very important because it implies that we consider systematic observation as mixed methods in itself, because the connecting, the second way that Creswell and Plano-Clark proposed us correspond just to these macro states that are possible, the complementation of this. It was proposed in 2016, but progressively this kind of understanding quantitizing has been established and consolidated by a lot of works. As an example, you can see a lot of articles that are published in these 4 research topics in Frontiers in Psychology. And for next feature, we have work, a lot of work to do to accelerate the process of quantitizing, to explore new possibilities of integration, trying a transition and asymmetry between qualitative and quantitative elements, to join observational records with other sources of data, and to improve complementarity of quantitative analysis from qualitative data. Here we have some reference, and thank you very much. And please, I'm sorry because my spoken English is very bad.
Good afternoon, everyone. And at this point of our panel, I will introduce some aspects related to reporting guidelines and our research on this area. A reporting guideline is a simple structured tool for researchers to use while writing manuscripts. Literally quoting Douglas Allman and Iveta Cimera, the primary role of reporting guidelines is to help researchers write up their research to maximize the value to others. Adherence to reporting guidelines will increase the completeness and transparency of research publications, thereby providing readers with sufficient details to enable them to critically appraise the study. Moreover, improved reporting has important benefits for systematic reviews, and also, and over time, the use of reporting guidelines may have a beneficial influence on the quality of research by raising general awareness of key methodological issues. As far as we know, Equator Network is the largest international initiative aimed at promoting transparent and accurate reporting of health research studies to enhance the value and reliability of research literature. The Equator Library covers different study designs. However, when we start our research about guidelines around 2011, there were not specific guidelines suited to the structural characteristics of observational designs grounded in systematic observation methodology, which have been previously introduced by Professor Anguera. As she has shown, the method presented in this panel established a bridge between qualitative and quantitative data using techniques based on specialized sequence of events rather than traditional frequency techniques. So this approach can provide unique empirical evidence to tackle research questions on biopsychosocial aspects in everyday contexts. It is, however, costly to implement, and its use must be justified by the research question being addressed. Our methodological approach advocates for the complementarity, and we assume that the different methods required for studying different psychosocial phenomena, and also we assume that each method has strengths and weaknesses. The sentence in the bottom of the slide reflects what the motivation behind the development of our research on guidelines. We believe that the lack of reporting guidelines specifically addressing studies based on observational methodology may constitute a publication hurdle, and in other words, it is highly likely that adherence to reporting guidelines created for other types of studies amplifies the weaknesses and undermines the strength of systematic observational studies. So we decide to start to design guidelines for systematic observation methodology, and the development follow the triangulation of three sources of information. We drew on the experience of experts in the field of observational methodology and analyze a wide range of studies that have used this methodology in different situations. The second source of information comes from the revision of the existing reporting standards. We review the content and structure of general reporting standards, that is to say, standards proposed use regardless of research design, and also we review reporting standards for research designs with some similarities to observational designs. Then starts a long process examining and combining list of non-redundant elements, rewrote items for clarify and easy comprehension, till the teams create the first draft. 3 drafts of the proposed guidelines were discussed by experts in methodological quality and observational designs at different conferences. The result of this process was published in 2015 in Psychothema. Hereafter, I will use GRIOM to refer the guidelines. GRIOM contains 14 guidelines grouped into 3 domains. The first domain includes 2 guidelines. They are basically related to provide the rationale for fit of the observational method to the goals of the research. The main domain is the method. It includes 10 guidelines about the design of the study, how to report the study design, the reporting of the 3 types of samples, study units, times, and settings. The third subdomain is related to the instrument, the information about the instrument that should be reported. At this point, it's important a transparent report of the observational instrument and the recording instrument. And there are last group of guidelines on this domain related to data quality control. The last domain of the GRIOM includes 2 guidelines that highlight aspects that are specific to evaluation studies based on observational designs. The first one is about the complementation of the participant flow with flow of response levels or dimensions recorded throughout the study, including information on discontinuations and withdrawals. And regarding the analysis, the 14 guidelines, it is essential to differentiate between and justify analysis of relationships between overall measures and analyses designed to identify response patterns. The option available for analyzing observational data vary according to the study design and the nature of the data. Sequence analysis is particularly relevant in our approach, just as Professor Anguera just explained. So both the rationale behind the analysis use and the software use should be specified on the reporting. So in summary, our proposed proposal will require researchers to provide additional information for certain sections, samples, description of the instruments, analysis. In this sense, reporting transparency has traditionally been limited by space constraints in journals, but this is not longer a problem in many journals thanks to the possibility of publishing supplementary online materials. The main criteria underlying our guidelines are sufficiency of warrants and transparency of reporting to promote the presentation of sufficient, accurate and transparent information that will enable other research to critically appraise and replicate the methodology use. Let me, I want to mention later works. In these later works, a new instrument has been provided with a checklist format, what we call MQ-COM. On this paper, published in 2019, we provide evidence on their validity based on test content and intercoder reliability. MQ-COM includes 16-item checklist designed for the use of professionals from different areas applying observational methodology. The checklist includes individual methodological features that serve as quality indicators to be considered when designing, implementing, or evaluating studies based on observational methodology. So, from a perspective that advocates methodological complementarity, we have proposed a set of simple and relevant criteria for conducting and reporting evaluations based on systematic observation methodology. However, for us, this is a line of research open that we hope will be enriched by contributions from other experts and studies. As a conclusion, it can be said that inadequate reporting is problematic for several reasons. If authors do not provide sufficient details concerning the conduct of their study, readers are left with an incomplete picture of what was done, and a researcher cannot replicate the study procedures. As such, they are not able to judge the reliability of the results and interpret them. And last but not least, as Moer and their core author emphasize, there are also ethical and moral reasons for reporting research adequately. And let me finish mentioning some obstacles to developing reporting standards. One is the different taxonomies of research approaches exist and different terms used to describe the same operational research variation. The second point is related to the innovation in methodology. Likely, there is a rapidly growing of new methods and techniques with the help of new technologies. This is a positive point. But those innovations force a continuous research for the updating of the proposal instruments for improve the reporting. So that's all. Here are the references, acknowledgement, and thank you very much for your attention.
Mine and for my colleague, Oleguer Camerino. Yes, good afternoon. Previously, I'm going to expose two implementations related to quantitizing. The first, in both implementations, we want to point directly to the free software of observation, which name is Lince, that we have created freely in our research group with our colleague, Professora Anguera. Well, the first implementation is related to a mixed method designed to detect adolescent and young adults' impulsiveness on decision-making and motor performance. As you can see on in the figure on the left of the screen, you can see, as Professor Anguera has said, a way to connect 4 instruments. In this case, there is an observational system of motor skills with quantitative data. There is, with quantitative data, there is a second tool, is a questionnaire of impulsive behavior scale, that's qualitative data, and 2 tools more, one about precision and agility motor tasks, and another that is inventory of motor laterality. This is published on Frontiers in Psychology. You have this, the DOI, just below. Well, in fact, we have conducted this study because the review of the scientific literature leads us to raise the question about whether impulsiveness in motor execution could be considered always negative or prejudicial. And we hypothesize that on many occasions, the ability to act quickly and impulsively on risk situations that require effective motor responses are fundamental, not only in the field of physical activity in sports, but also in everyday life. And we aim to study the relationship of impulsiveness, motor skills, decision-making in staged situations through a design, mixed method design in order to go deep about the impulsiveness young motor responses generates proactive motor behaviors. You know, we want to demonstrate that sometimes impulsive reactions generates proactive motor behaviors. The participants were 71, ranging in age from 17 to 24 years, that regularly attended physical education at secondary and primary school courses. All these participants were analyzed. Well, as I said before, this mixed method approach connects 4 tools. But in fact, spins around observational system that's for us the main tool, no? Because it's quantitative data, and as Professor Anguera said, it's just in the middle, no? In this case, no? Well, as I say also that our 2 implementations that we show here, we want to point on this free software that we have created. This software is Lince, but in the next presentation I'm going to offer, I will explain you the improved version of this software with Lince Plus. But for the moment, this Lince that was created on 2012 has been used in many international studies. It's very to use. As you can see in the screen, there is the video replay, the position slider, play and pause, stop video, return to start, change reply speed, video sound and volume, skip back, time indicated, skip forward, current time of video. And just in the right, on the right column of the screen of the screenshot, you have you can obtain all the criteria and categories of your study, of your observational system. And it's very useful because if you use the mouse and you go over the criteria, as you can see in the next slide, when you go to the categories, this category changes in blue, and also you have the description. For example, in the second one, motor stability, for example, jumps, you can see 11 elevation stability that is related to a jump. Well, when you click over all the categories, you can see that below the video, the image of the video, the Excel with seconds, milliseconds, frames, and categories is expanded. And then this software Lince is very useful because not only you can design the instrument, the observational tool, if not, you can obtain the data registry, the data record. Also, you can obtain the data quality between the observers, and you can, sorry, export to other softwares like THEM, SAS, Excel, and GSAQ. In this case, for this study, we have exported all the results of the data record to THEM in order to obtain T patterns. These are the results of this this study related to impulsiveness, and as you can see, it's very easy. You can see the difference of the behavior motor responses between non-impulsiveness participants to impulsiveness ones, and those that had lack of attention and hyperactivity. In sum, if you can see the T pattern of the first ones, the non-impulsiveness, they had more diverse motor skills responses. They use several directions of the space and also uses the center of the space. And the most important thing, they are able to interact with other mates, in this case with groups. The impulsiveness participants are more or less similar of the previous ones, but there are there is a reduction of the motor behaviors, and they mainly make interaction with diets, with another, not more in groups. And the participants that has ADHD, there is a lack or a very reduction of motor behaviors, and they have non-interaction. As a conclusion, we can see that this mixed methods research is a feasible procedure to contrast objectively the motor behaviors patterns obtained from each one of impulsiveness types, shows that is missing use of interactive response that go from a continuous interaction in group of non-impulsiveness participants goes to a dyadic interaction of the participants that have a little bit of impulsiveness traits that we think that is the most interesting result of our study, and also shows the thing that we all of us know, that there is non-interaction of ADHD participants. T patterns of non-impulsiveness and impulsiveness types offer richer combinations of motor behaviors than those that have lack of attention and hyperactivity, but hyperactivity non-well done. In sum, we think from physical activity in sports that impulsiveness or motor behavior not always is negative or prejudicial. If this hyperactivity is well done or results on diverse or creative responses, probably is an advantage. Well, here you have the reference. Notice please that the third one is the publication that contains the study I have presented, And just the last one reference is the reference that explains the LINCE software, and due that is a free software, we only ask for researchers to mention or cite this reference. And I'm going to continue to the presentation of my colleague, Oleguer Camerino, because he asked me to do the presentation due of the language. I'm going to veure com ho faig ara. Yes, sorry, okay. Yes, this one. Well, is the second implementation. Is the second implementation related to the framework that Professor Teresa Anguera has offered in this symposium. And in this case, we will offer a study that we have conducted, a mixed methods approach oriented to teaching personal and social responsibility. You have here also the DOI of the publication, because this is new method in pedagogy. And also, as we will see, we have used for this study the new version of LINCE software. Well, nowadays, the scientific literature identifies several pedagogic models. For example, comprehensive education, cooperative learning, teaching personal and social responsibility, that is the focus of this study, and also sport education and ludotechnical instruction. This is a spectrum of models and we will point towards teaching personal and social responsibility as a curriculum and pedagogical model based on the assumption that the students need to learn to be responsible for themselves and others in order to socially interact in a suitable way. This model is regarded as one of the most effective approaches, as several researches have been conducted in this specific literature. The objective of this study was to detect and to observe how teachers' behavior-oriented patterns shifted in response to this model strategies by means of LINCE Plus software. In this case, this study involved two different schools, one primary and one secondary school from a Spanish region. And we observed 4 teachers, not only of physical education. 2 teachers were of physical education, another of history, and another of language. And the observational system of teacher-oriented responsibility, OSTOR, comprised the criteria, 4 criteria for the teachers and 1 criteria related to the student. Expectation, explanation, organization, and task adjustments for the teacher, and 1 criterion related to the student responses. You have here the full tool system of observation. Well, as I said to you, we are going to present you the new LINCE Plus. Is almost ready, is a highly practical and easy to use, and integrates a wide range of functions: coding, recording, obtaining data quality, and enabling data export to several data analysis applications, as the previous LINCE that also works, because the LINCE, the original LINCE from 2012 is very used, and this one will offer more specific tools, can improve all the artificial intelligence. We are working on this, and also allows teamwork usable by touch devices as iPads, multiple video analysis, and will include the core of the software arm. we are also working on the big artificial intelligence and including this calculation of R. It's just simple because it's web user interface, simple, modern, responsive, secure. And as you can see in the screen, you can customize your observational tool, reuse your tool with templates, generate reduction values. And the different researchers can be connected simultaneously. And in this case, you can analyze your scenario with multiple videos, and one person can detect and the others simultaneously can check. The group video options, easy to save, send jumper, codification tool. You can see in the screen, you can work with two videos, for example, and also you can go with the mouse, as you said before, over the categories and they highlight, and then you obtain the Excel, the BBT version, and then you can export, as we say, to other softwares. Here also you will obtain a graphic stats view. Stats can be pre-configured and chosen. You can see visually part of your investigation and how it's working day to day, hour to hour. And also, as you said before, we will be ready to include Air Core Brain View, data from a math concept, and create your analysis, remote area data analysis, integrate LINF in R through REST points, and use R inside LINF. And as you can see here, you can also make to work simultaneously both videos in different points of view, and obtain the categories. Well, you can see here little demo how it works. Well, and those are the reference, and the new LINF Plus is just the 4 reference that you can see here. Soto and other researchers, LINF Plus research software for behavior, video analysis, that is published in Apunts Educación Física y Deportes. And well, and also it is important that in our web Observe Sport, you can download freely both software, LINF, the traditional LINF, and LINF Plus, and we only ask to reference both publications if you need it, and we expect it could be useful for all of you. Thank you for your attention.